It's 5 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. If we all could rise for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Board members, if I could ask you to all make sure you got your microphones on, and during the meeting, if you could, try to speak in the microphone. The recording kind of only lightly picks up your voice if you're not directing it towards the microphone. Could we have roll call, please?
Spencer.
Present?
Ferguson here. Cloa. Here. Arnold. Oop. Beller.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Malin.
Here.
Okay. We'll have public comment. Anyone wishing to speak in public comment, you will have 3 minutes if you want to come up to the microphone. If you want to give your name and address, or you want us to contact you later, please let us know. Anyone for public comment? I think I mentioned you have 3 minutes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
Keith Jacoby at 1621 Midland Road. Basically, it's in regards to the sign at the dentist's office next door at 1631 that it impedes us being able to get in and out of our driveway. It has it where if you, at nighttime, the whole house is lit up at night because of the brightness of the sign. It says in some of the rules and everything, expanded chain, like the sign is too large, it's there, and it said any non-conforming sign cannot be replaced with another non-conforming sign, which he has done. He actually has got it bigger. And that if any light impedes on the adjoining road or property next to it, that it cannot be that bright either. It can only just be a regular light. That's supposed to have permits. If the permits were pulled and the sketches to be shown and everything to the building department, they're the ones that would give the okay on it to be built. Which, as far as I knew, that there was no permit pulled at the time. So that's the only thing I'm really, if the sign would be lower where we can see getting out, that would be great. And then for the digital sign, which is a lot newer than the one that was put in 10, 15 years ago, that was down at the bottom, so it didn't shine as bad. But it lights up our whole house, which is, I don't think anyone here would like a spotlight put onto your house every night and have to put up the changing of when the screen goes, where it also says in the R district, it can only be, the sign can only change once time per week, which it changes about 12 times. It goes through a loop, and there's about that many of them. So I'm just trying to, if he shuts it off at night, that'd be fine too. But at least bring the sign down and have it where it doesn't keep shining on the house. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in public comment?
My name is Joy Kruger. I live at 2450 Salzburg Road. I have 3 points that I'd like to make. The first point is that our township sign, as of last Friday, did not mention the special meeting. And I kind of thought that was the idea of having the sign so that the meetings could be advertised. Number 2, I am in favor of being a good neighbor. If my neighbor wants to use my driveway for whatever, I'd ask when you want to use it and, of course, give him permission. What I've heard at these township meetings is that we, the township, need to tell the school, our neighbor, when we need to use our parking lot. I believe that's wrong. I think it's opposite what it should be. Our neighbor, the school, needs to ask permission and sign a waiver when they would like to have permission to use our parking lot as long as there's no conflict with the township. The sign on the other side of 3 Mile Road clearly states that the lot belongs to the township. Our neighbor, the school, needs to only use their south entrance door as an emergency exit only. It should not be an entrance door. If it's not an entrance door, people are not going to park in the township lot. Again, I'm in favor of being a good neighbor, but not giving away our parking lot. And point number 3, it's again about being a good neighbor. I don't believe there's anyone in this room that would want to live next door to the dentist office on Midland Road. Trusting that what the neighbors say is true, who would want a sign lighting up the inside of your house all night? Even though the business may have the right to have the sign as bright as they have it, light it up, I question whether it's neighborly. That's it for me.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in public comment?
James Anderson, 4411 4 Mile Road. Didn't know anything about this sign, but I can contest to that. I live on 4 Mile, and I can see that halo, and it's bright where I live. It's that intense. So just help him out with that brightness. I'm a long ways away, and it is bright. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in public comment?
Lynn Coheney, Monitor Township. I'm also speaking on the use of the parking lot. Parking lot, the building was sold a few years back for, I think, approximately $10,000. And that was the land and the building. It was sold to another person. Then a few years later, it was sold to the school. I have no idea what they paid for it. I have no idea. But my feeling is, I've been here a lot of years. I was on the board when that parking lot was tore up, lending it to the Bay City Public Schools. And we put a lot of money into that parking lot. And when it came time for them to help out with whatever, they refused to help pay for the new parking lot. So that's why they were pulled off of the parking lot. My feeling is, if they have the means, according to what they said, 14 to 15 cars or whatever, if they have the means to do it, and if they did get it at a good price, to me, I would asphalt part of that back area and have them park back in there. It would, to me, it would increase the value of their property, and it would also keep them, their cars safe or whatever. But I can't see, I agree, I think we should be good neighbors. If they want to use it once in a while, that's fine. But after what the township went through with the public school system, I don't think I would open it up to them completely. I don't think they'll wreck it or do anything like that, but I just, over the years, when the Bay City Public Schools used that lot, they ruined it. So that's just what all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in public comment?
Say one at the end. That they were supposed to have all the permits and everything. If it was handled the way it should have been, the sign would have never got erected the way it is because of the size it is. And it said any a new sign cannot be a non-conforming sign like the original sign, which he did have, because he had to come in, get a variance for the sign way back when he added the digital, that it was oversized and it was granted. Now he's got, and it states then in there that you cannot replace a sign that was not to code with another one that's not to code. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in public comment? Anyone else wish to speak? Oh, yep.
Again, I don't prepare for anything, and I'm open to answering any questions. My name is Dr. Randall Ruff, the culprit in this case. I would like to just, I'm not sure how well informed the board is, and I'm just gonna give you a real fast synopsis, and I got copies of this if anybody wants to see. I had a sign here, and this was hit by a vehicle, I don't know, beginning of last year. I have a letter from Shepherd saying that he was always in the past saying that my previous sign was never approved. I have it right here, that my sign has been granted permission by Mr. Sabias. And in addition, a sign, and so that's part of it, and I got copies of this. And the other thing is, in addition to a sign permit is necessary for any sign to be placed on your property. I agree with that. And so if I'm listening to Mr. Shepherd, I could not put a sign up right now if it was the size of a postage stamp, because I do not have a permit. Sign was injured January, beginning of February of 2024. Here is my building permit application, and it was applied for in 3/27 of 24. That's been almost a year, and I still do not have a permit. I contact the State of Regulation in Lansing. Building permit 125-1511. An application shall be granted in whole or in part or denied within 10 business days. We are about 330 days over. I have tried to procure this permit. Supposedly it was lost. I have different position on that, but I have emails addressing and requesting what is the status of this permit. All I get is avoidance. I get funny business and no answers. So this permit has been applied for over a year. Now, if you ask me, and I'm not placing the blame on me, the sign company, maybe one individual here, but I'm going to be a gentleman. I agree with Keith in one thing. He said that you need a permit to put up a sign. So you can talk to the building official, ask him what the rules are. What do I need to do? What can't I do? I totally agree with him. Where is the building permit after a year, Mr. Shepherd? And so this is a phone call or an email, no, a text message that I had with the sign company. This was dated July 16th of last year.
Sir, your time is up.
Okay.
But what I would ask is maybe when we get to this on the agenda, is maybe we just invite you to come up, so that way if,
I don't have much, but I appreciate
okay.
it. Thank you.
Yep, okay, is that okay? Yep,
With me, it's absolutely
okay.
fine.
Anyone else wish to speak in public comment? Anyone else wish to speak in public comment? Seeing no one else, we will close public comment.
I'd like to make a point of clarification. I think all questions need to be directed to the chair, not to the attorney.
Okay, yep. Next up, to adopt the agenda and the consent agenda. We have a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
I'll do it.
we have a motion, we have support. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next up, review of the minutes of 2/10/25, the regular meeting, and then the closed session minutes, if there's no questions.
I'll make a motion, we adopt them as printed.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, we support. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carried. Okay, next up, unfinished business. First thing on the agenda is parking lot, State Street Academy agreement. We have in here an agreement that we were working on. And to answer a couple of them questions, I don't think it was ever an issue about giving the parking lot away to anybody. I think it was a, correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, but it's a public parking lot. The issue that we have is, and just like today when I was sitting in the office talking to the treasurer, school bus pulls up. I don't know if they were dropping kids off or whatever they were doing, they were there for a couple minutes, they left. What I would like to get out of this agreement is not to give it away, but establishing, yes, we are going to utilize the parking lot the way we want to use it. If we have voting, if we have events, which most of that won't have anything to do with them, because the school is open just Monday through Friday when they do get open, if they open, and have some liability insurance that we're covered under and some of them things. So no intentions of giving it away, just looking for some support in a parking lot that's probably going to be used. So
And I see nothing in this for, I see liability insurance, but what if for repairs? If the repairs need to be done, who's gonna pay for that? If it's their, if, comes down to them.
This is the draft that I said I thought I had done a year and a half ago that I found. We never finalized it from our end, so that could be something we would add if we wanted to add it in. That, although I think I did have something in there that maintenance, snow plowing, etc., would be done by them. I don't remember off the top of my head, Jim, whether I have a requirement that all potholes be patched by the licensee, State Street Academy.
yeah, and I don't think that we're looking to pass this agreement today. We're just
Oh, okay.
starting somewhere, Jim. And if you think that we should have something in there for maintenance or blacktop, I'm completely open to that.
I
So
think we should have some type of maintenance in there,
okay.
Yeah.
because they're gonna, if buses are using it, we're gonna have increased traffic versus it's a lot heavier than a car parking.
Wouldn't hurt if we had some insurance coverage on it too.
We do have insurance on it in here.
Ain't okay?
Yeah,
That'll take
I
care of
have,
everything, slip and fall.
yeah, and we are an additional named insured on the policy secondary to the State Street Academy. We still are the statutory owner, but they are the actual person in possession of it. So if there's a pothole or if there's slip and fall, that's number C, halfway down. Accidents, be they vehicles, slip and fall, trip and fall, resulting in any type of injury or damage whatsoever, shall be first defended by the insurance company for State Street Academy, and the Charter Township of Monitor will be an additional named insured and will be defended by the insurance company obtained by State Street. So that kind of takes it off, although you still have your policy, which I think is multi-million dollars of coverage, as an umbrella policy over and above State Streets. If we wanted to make this into a 10-page document, we could put in a dollar amount, which I didn't think we would want to do, but if you want to make it a minimum 1 million, 2 million, the way verdicts are going these days, that wouldn't be a bad idea either.
I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
1 million, 2 million, Jim? Million per person, 2 million per accident?
Million.
Just $1 million straight?
Yeah, I think that'd be sufficient. And again, if the board decides we want to move forward, my recommendation will be, after we establish some of them things that we want to talk about with them, with the maintenance and this and that, the next step will be to, we'll probably have a meeting here with Rich and them, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about some of these things, because at the end of the day, maybe they'll say, hey, we don't want to do that. But we, at least if we're going to go in there and talk, we need to establish what we want to do, so. Anything else with that?
Richard, you can furnish a copy of this to the planning commission, seeing where this started.
After I massage it tomorrow, yeah, I can do that. Or I can try to do it tonight. And
Well, I know they came to the planning commission and explained the whole 9 yards, and they were willing to furnish us with a copy of all their inspections. And the main entrance door is the one over here, not the one in the parking lot. I went through that school, that's an exit door only. So if they're using that door, it's not a secure building anymore. So just to clarify that.
Yeah, and I know Dave hasn't been invited to do any inspections to my knowledge, but
I don't think we have the authority in the school system.
we do not, but they're supposed to have the state inspections done before they occupy.
Right.
And when I,
And unfortunately, that's taken forever.
yeah, I talked to them about a month ago. They had filled out everything, according to them, they filled everything out and sent it into the state. Apparently waiting for the state workers to show up to work or something, so they're waiting. So,
I know back before the election, so it was several months ago, Gary and/or Earl had called down to the state Laura and found out where you at and when you're gonna inspect it, and crickets.
yep,
No,
yep,
we don't have
so,
any authority in the school system.
No, we don't, but the state was
yeah,
asked.
they were
whether
just
can-
checking, yep,
So
yep.
if that's truly an emergency exit door,
Pardon me?
if that's truly an emergency exit only door,
Label as exit.
then they shouldn't be having bus traffic there anyway.
I say that because I was licensed by the state to inspect schools and institutions, prisons.
And if that's the case, then you shouldn't need that parking lot at all, because if they gotta enter on the other end of the building.
Yeah, I see, you know, and they said before they were gonna do that, I think, when they came into the planning commission. What I foresee them more than anything is probably parents. Somebody pulling up and just parking there type of thing, and, but they didn't indicate that they wanted to have the drop off or the pickup there, but, you know, so, but if that's the only concerns, I'll, moving forward, we'll contact them, we'll set up a meeting, with us and Rich, and we'll talk about that and get a little bit more clear definition of what they want to do.
Right.
And maybe I'll ask them to come to the next board meeting. Like I said, I wanted to at least get that information out there, see if there's any concerns.
They hired a new superintendent, didn't they? When does that person take over?
I don't know that.
On the news the other night, they hired a new superintendent. They got Franklin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is not
yeah,
part of
that might have been that might have been yeah.
They say,
No, it's, yep, charter, yep.
right.
Okay, so, if we get a motion to move forward with some recommendations, and we'll bring it back, after we have some discussions with them. So, if we could have a motion,
I'll make the motion then.
okay, we have a motion, we have support, any other discussion?
So what is your motion, please?
Table it till there's additional information.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, aye? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carried. Next up, ordinance 67M, second reading and adoption.
I'll make a motion that we accept it.
We have a motion. Do we have support? Did
Support.
somebody make a comment over there? Did I miss something? Okay, sorry. We had support. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Malin,
Yes.
Spencer,
Yes.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa, Arnold, not here, sorry. Beller,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next up, ordinance 67N, second reading and adoption. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to that effect.
We have a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
We have support. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Spencer,
Yes.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa,
Yes.
Beller,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Malin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next up, ordinance 67O, second reading and adoption. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Meyer, support from Beller. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa,
Yes.
Beller,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Malin,
Yes.
Spencer,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next up, 67P, second reading and adoption. Do we have a motion?
To that effect.
We have a motion from Beller. Do we have support?
Support.
Support. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Cloa,
Yes.
Beller,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Malin,
Yes.
Spencer,
Yes.
Ferguson, yes. Motion carried.
Next up, ordinance 67Q, second reading and adoption. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
We have a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
We have support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Beller.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Malin.
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next up, appointments to the Monitor Township Park Committee, which would be myself, Treasurer Cloa, and Clerk Ferguson. Do we have a motion?
We didn't have anybody else that wanted to be on it?
I think we were looking to just have 3.
All right.
And,
I'll make a motion that we approve.
and the reason we did it that way is that's how they had it in the past.
Okay.
Can't have 4.
Yep. And I'm sorry, did you make a motion?
Yep.
Okay, we had a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
Support, any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes.
Okay, now we're gonna make sure, I know when you guys get busy with this, that, because it's gonna cost the township money, that it's gonna come to the board first before we decide on any issues?
Absolutely. We can't do
Okay.
anything
I just-
money-wise until the
making
board
sure.
approves it, Jim. And the next step after this, obviously, we've got something in regards to the next on the agenda, but at the next regular meeting, we'll have it back on the table to discuss making the master plan. The board will approve it. And what I hope to do with that is when we get, providing that's approved, we get that rolling with Spicer. We'll organize having some type of town hall meeting that we can ask people from the public to come in and comment on what kind of improvements they would like to see down the park. But yeah, anything that we decide to do down there, we're gonna bring that back to the board. So
And we will have our engineer here the next time?
he say he wasn't gonna be here the next
Yes.
time, or he is gonna
No,
be
he's
here the
gonna be
next.
here for the next one.
Okay, he'll be here for the next meeting. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
when we do this discussion?
Oh yes, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, any other comments, discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Meyer.
Yes.
Malin.
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa.
Yes.
And Beller.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next up, approve town hall meeting to discuss township parks. Just looking for approval of the board, once we get rolling to, set a date to utilize the township hall. And, we'll let you know when that gets closer, but, so is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Okay.
second.
We have a motion, we have support, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Malin.
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa.
Yes.
Beller.
Yes.
And Meyer.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next up, the sign at the dentist office, Dr. Ruff. When we get moving forward with the board's permission, I'm sure that we have 2 people here that would probably like to make comment. Keith, I'm sorry, I forgot what your last name was. Jacoby, yes, and Dr. Ruff. So I guess when we get in this discussion, and we obviously have Dave, our building official here, so I would like a motion to be able to interact with them while we talk about this. If we could have a motion from.
I'll make a motion to that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have
Support.
support. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carried. Okay, Dave, I'll let you kind of start if you want to come up to the podium there. Or we can take it over to you.
Maybe after I fall, I'm still.
Yeah, I heard you had a little spell, so. Yep.
We got that mic right there, we can hand them.
I'll tell you what, that ground gets harder every year.
Every time you fall, it gets harder, yep.
And still, you land on my head, that still don't knock any sense in me.
Okay.
All right.
And I had asked, and just so everybody is aware, a little background, this has been discussed for a while. It was in Planning Commission, back sometime. The Planning Commission had appointed Jim as the trustee on the planning commission and Dave to try to figure this out between the neighbors there. Dave and Jim have talked to both of them, I think, plenty of times, and they had a proposal, and long of the short, I wanted to bring that in front of the board before it got the blessings, so I'm really hoping that we can come up with something that you both can agree on, so, but there's, in my opinion, there's a lot of screwy things in the whole deal, so, go ahead, Dave.
Well, I guess I can start with a little history. I guess this started by a permit being issued that shouldn't have been back maybe about 2008. And now that created a non-conforming sign. And then just recently, when this inebriated individual ran over the sign, through no fault of the doctors, they applied for a permit. The permit was never issued. There was, I guess, and I'm still not sure what happened, but we just never got back to them to tell them it was denied because of the zoning. And sign company, which knows better under their license, went ahead and installed the sign anyway. Yes, they deserved an answer or why it was declined, and it didn't come. Like I said, there's myself involved, there's the zoning administrators involved, I got my administrative assistant, Mr. Beller was involved, but that was even after the fact. He applied a year ago. I didn't even know there was an application there, and it was in the file in the drawer. Why? I don't know. I'm not going to point any fingers, but it did happen. Now they've gotten another permit because through the efforts of Mr. Beller and myself, being in contact with the zoning administrator, township attorney, the township supervisor, and who?
Road commission.
You must have, I didn't, but we tried to formulate a meaningful settlement in this issue and thought we were very, very close. And then things kind of fell apart here at the last minute. So that's why we're here. We've been out there and tested numerous times the lighting. The only time it exceeds the lighting decibels is when they have a white background. And I believe the doctor's in favor of eliminating any white backgrounds. He may be in favor of doing some other things to help eliminate that problem. Like I said, the other sign was there since 2008. And I think, I don't know exactly when, if that maybe have been the digital one, which it was smaller for sure. But all of a sudden, there's an issue, especially with, I guess, this new one. And it was pretty much put back in the same place. It just wasn't the same size. But I believe the doctor is ready and willing, and we'll let him address that. I don't know if there's any other questions or comments.
So, and I know you talked to Dr. Ruff about this, and I know you've talked to Keith about this as well. So is it my understanding that if we could, Dr. Ruff could turn the dial down on the white, that would be acceptable to do that?
You asking me?
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
I'm acceptable to anything.
Yep. And that would be good with you as well, Keith? If he was to change that?
Well, the other sign, which was a nice sign and everything, the digital was at the bottom. So that way it didn't put the light out as much. So it didn't light up the whole house. This one, it lights it up.
And every 5 seconds it has it
No,
might
5
have
minutes.
5 minutes it has a thing, but 5 seconds it has something in the background that lights, that flashes.
Okay.
You know, like maybe if anything,
So if there was some way to get that changed where that wasn't doing that, that would be acceptable for you guys?
I was just gonna say, can it, during non-business hours, is it possible to shut it off?
Is that a possibility, Dr. Ruff, that it could be shut off at night?
I don't know the software, but I have no problem with that. And I have no problem taking the sign and dropping it down to the original.
Original size?
I'm not here to be a bad guy. My
Nope.
beef, if anything, is
We'll just get past that right now. The bottom line is, hey, I do agree with Dave. The reality is it probably never should have been issued in the first place. We can't do anything about that. That was way before us. But I do want to see you be able to have your sign in it, but I also, he spent a lot of trips coming down here to talk to everybody. And I don't mind talking to you, Keith, but I want to make things so, let's try to figure this out. So if we could shut it off at night, would that be an acceptable?
for me, it's fine. I'm sure the software has that ability.
Okay.
I can't go up there and plug it at night.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
sure there's a time.
We'll send Dave to do
I
it.
was gonna say, I would, if that's the case, I would recommend something like, it'd be shut off at 10 at night until 6 in the morning.
Let's have a time.
Okay.
You guys pick a time.
Would that be
well, if
Fair.
that's at night, it's still,
I'm thinking-
9 o'clock at night
I'm thinking business hours.
or business or?
Well, you're
Yeah.
advertising.
I'm asking you, Keith, would
Dark
9
is
o'clock?
different at
yeah.
different times, so.
Yeah, it's dark at 5:30 at January, December, but,
Or 10 o'clock in the summer.
okay. Could we, would it be,
I mean,
would it be fair to say in the winter
Yeah,
hours
I
that
agree with him.
it gets, yeah, dusk to
Dusk to
dawn?
dawn.
Okay, that was a lot easier.
that's what the radio stations used to have to do, so.
Okay. And I do believe that Sign Image could probably accomplish that. But that would be reasonable, Dr. Ruff?
As far as I'm concerned, totally. And if
Okay.
you couldn't do that, I could always set up on a timer.
Okay,
You know, the old timer where it
okay,
shut off.
yeah. And it sounds like Dr. Ruff doesn't have any issue taking it back down to the original size. Or the size, what was the size there, Dave? It
I
was,
think Mr. Shepherd's got those.
According to the township
I heard one of
records.
the gals in the back.
records from the zoning board of appeals, when there was a variance request to increase the frequency of display, it showed that there was an 18 square foot static reader board sign and a 10.5 square foot electronic for a total of 28.5 square feet per side face.
Okay,
That's
Currently,
what was
it's now up
originally
to
approved. And that's the only thing that's been approved. really.
Yeah, but currently it's up to 62
Right.
per side face.
Yep.
okay.
Basically, it's size of 4 by 8 sheet of plywood or whatever you call it.
It's 32.
square foot on either side.
32, right.
Okay, so with them two things discussed, is there any other issues that we have with that?
What about the height? We're talking the size, but
The-
they want the height lowered on that.
The only thing, and he's willing to bring it down, the only reason the height is a issue is that the ordinance says whatever the height is, you have to move it back from the right-of-way. Well, right now it's 8 foot, so he'd have to be 8 foot back, which would take him right into his parking lot. So he could, by making this sign smaller and lowering it back down again, he could only have to be 5 feet back, which is, I think, where he's at now. Right.
Yeah,
Where
but
the current
thing-
sign is.
The thing is, this thing's is non-conforming to the start since 2008, so lowering it down a little bit is not going to make it any worse or any better. It's just it's gonna help our resident to see over the sign a little bit. I mean, it's already a mess. So, you know, if the good doctor is willing to do that, I think that will solve the doctor's problems and our neighbor.
Put it back to the original non-conforming.
Yeah, whether it's,
Yep.
whether it's enough feet back or not, well, we're just gonna have to
Uh-huh.
call it a non-conforming sign.
He's agreed to do that right from square one. Here's all the meetings in
Yep.
here.
Yep,
And he's agreed to do it right from square one.
And
you know, to solve this.
Why are we here today?
the board is gonna, bless that, and then we're gonna move on with our life. So, if that's okay with everybody, we've got all parties in the room. I see Keith is nodding his head, and Dr. Ruff has already indicated that's okay with him.
I find I just need somebody to tell me what
Okay, so if you want to make a motion there, Mr. Beller?
I'll make a motion to the effect that we approve his non-conforming sign.
Okay. With the,
With the changes.
with the changes, that would be, the 28.5, is that what it was?
28.5 square feet
Yeah.
per side.
And the timing.
And he's agreed to,
Dustin
Jessica, can you come up here for a second?
One statement on this,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's kind of confusing where we're all here right now. If that's how, there's an email thread right now that I'm looking at, from the zoning administrator through Sign Image, and it was approved by our township engineer, our township planner, and Rich Shepherd. They all met together and agreed that if the sign was identical in size, there's no problem with it. Sign Image agreed that the sign was identical in size, but we're here because there's a discrepancy because it's not. It's so double.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is,
Yep.
I just wanted to make that.
Okay, thank you.
The building official needs
Thank you.
a point of clarification.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
reason that might be is because Sign Image is, and I don't care if I had that bottom part. He said that's a monument, that's not part of the sign. I don't need that. All it does is say my address. I'll lower the thing back down.
Okay.
I have zero issues with that.
Okay.
And we
So,
need that bottom part.
I believe, Dr. Ruff, on a yellow piece of paper, you have the guidelines that were provided to me by Rich Shepherd on where this sign needs to be. If so, I can take that, share it with the building official, and then you should be in compliance. Am I right or wrong, Rich?
Right. And to explain what Jessica said, the three of us met, which is maybe part of the delay in issuing or denying a permit. And Don Scherzer outvoted Dave and I because Dave and I thought that it was a non-conforming sign. It could not be replaced, and Don said it should be repaired. So we never inspected the sign to see if it was a repair or a replacement, but my opinion is it had been obliterated. Don thought it would be a repair.
okay. So we had a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
Support. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
I just want to clarify my motion here.
Okay.
We're approving the non-conforming sign with the changes, going back to the 28.5 size each side. It's going to be on from dusk to dawn only, with, he's willing to lower.
The other way, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that way, sorry. We'll lower the sign back down and remove the bottom part and eliminate the white background displays. Is that everything?
The white background becomes irrelevant if it's
Yeah.
off at dusk,
Yeah.
Thank you, I'll take that off.
I think.
Actually,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
when it spikes. When it
Yeah.
is a white background, it spikes. The only thing I worry about is
Yep.
we're telling business people things they can't do.
But now, because his light on the top, where your name and everything, that,
He's willing to take all that name stuff off the bottom.
yep.
no, I'm just saying the light that's there doesn't, so as far as that light, that would be,
To allow that at night.
right,
Just remove the digital portion of it at night.
right,
Okay, good.
you know,
Yep.
that's,
Okay,
they still don't know who he is and where he's at.
okay. Okay,
Well, one of the things you
Roll-
probably want to include in your motion is that this is to compromise a potential claim and litigation between you and the doctor, so that the board can actually act on it as opposed to the zoning board or the planning commission with a special use permit. I thought that's kind of why we were here, because Jim reported back to the planning commission, who has no authority to accept it 2 or 3 months ago.
Yep.
Pretty much the same thing. So this could be a appropriate action by the board to take to resolve a potential litigation.
that sounds great to me.
If Jim put that in his motion, it'd be great.
There you go.
Got it. Thanks,
You
Jim.
didn't even see my lips move, did you?
So, I guess I have a question going forward. How are we going to stop this from happening again? What's our solution that
We're
permits
not gonna
our-
let Dave give out inappropriate permits.
Yeah, well, one, the person that issued that permit is not here anymore, so literally, so that problem's taken care of itself. And we've talked about it in the office, and absolutely right, there was somewhere that got lost. I don't know what happened, but we had discussions on that, because I wasn't very happy about that as well. So,
I don't
yeah.
want to be sitting through doing this again.
No, me neither.
Well,
No.
My comment when I was
Mhm.
informed of everything, because I'm obviously new in getting all of the backstory, is making sure we have policies and procedures. So if
Yep.
a permit is applied for and it has a 2-week deadline, if our inspector can't get to it, a phone call needs to be made by our administrative assistant saying we're a week behind.
Yep.
At least so people
Something.
know that something is happening, not crickets.
Yep, that's
So
exactly the
crickets are
conversation we
unacceptable.
had. Go ahead, Jim.
One other, we've mentioned it, I think Mr. Beller has talked about this, is that we have so many ordinances, and every time something comes up, that a situation comes up, we try to work around it, and basically we end up chasing our tails for months, sometimes years, and we all know how that's going. So I still, to this day, we have to have a better enforcement. Not just send the building inspector out there, the zoning inspector, to say, hey, you might be in violation, then we chase around our tails. We have to have something, some policy to say, okay, Mr. Attorney, go after him. We just can't be chasing our tails all the time and wasting all our time. That's all I want to say on that.
Okay,
That
Anything else?
action needs to come from the board, though.
yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, I don't drive the township looking for tickets to issue or it has to be the board driven.
Yeah, if we're not
Yeah.
going to enforce the ordinances, they're not worth the paper they're written on, so.
Yep. Okay, anything else? Roll call?
Call for,
Spencer,
Yes.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa,
Yes.
Beller,
yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Malin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next up, residential chickens. I had some information here that I printed out for board members, and as some of you are aware, thank you, gentlemen. As some of you are aware, we had conversation on this a couple of years ago. I don't remember exactly how it got brought up, whether it was pandemic related, shortage related, or all the above. But we did discuss it at the board. We do have ordinance, restrictive ordinances against people having backyard chickens. And we had a lot of people more on the want them side than people that, and you can see in the comments there was a couple comments, people said no, but the majority, and I know that some of the other board members I've talked to have had this conversation with people out here. And it is kind of, to me personally, living in Monitor Township, where Bay City, the city of Bay City, anybody can have a chicken, but here in farmland, we can't have them. It seems a little ridiculous to me. So, so on the back side of that is the ordinance from the city of Bay City. And what I was kind of, I guess the first thing we'd have to establish is if we want to move forward, which I think we all do. We need to establish some rules, and I'm not, I didn't think that we'd necessarily have this approved today, but we probably should talk about, you know, what we do want to have in this policy if we are to move forward with it. Go ahead.
I was zoning administrator in Franklin.
Yep.
They have got it where you can have, you know, like on a 1 acre or a lot, up to 10 chickens, no roosters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we've all decided
If you wanna
that,
be a
yeah.
bad neighbor, get a rooster.
Yeah. And I think roosters are definitely not going on the, we don't want the roosters,
Yeah.
so.
They've got
Yeah.
neighbors and it's enforceable.
Yeah.
10 chickens.
Yeah, unless they're on the appropriate
No, it's
amount of
not.
property for that, but,
It's not.
but,
Because I sent it into the Department of Ag and said, can we differentiate on the sex of the chicken? And so far, they've said no.
Or
So-
Trump's in power now, you can.
yeah.
Well, maybe,
Definitely.
but it's the State Department of Ag, which is the same people that have been there forever. And they said that, no, you can't differentiate. A chicken's a chicken. They've also said in the Department of Ag, if you allow agricultural activity in a zone district, you allow all agricultural activity. So it's not just chickens up to 15. They set the limit based on the lot size, and you can get pigs and hogs and goats and cattle and horses, because that 1 acre of nice subdivision property you have, we allow agricultural uses on it.
Yeah. And also, I seen in the state, they do have legislation they're talking about with the state, which I did talk to a state representative about. There is a proposal to take away the township's authority again on zoning and for that particular thing with chickens, which I guess we'll see what happens with that. But what they had recommended was every quarter acre you could have up to 3. With a maximum of 25, but I think in theirs they did specify no roosters. So I don't know where that will go, but
And that,
Noise ordinance.
yeah.
well, but
Yeah,
that
so
would
I
be the
want,
beneficial way to have it happen, so that you don't run, because under the Right to Farm Act, anytime you start a suit against a farmer, Jim or Paul or Jim, you end up running the risk of having to pay all of their expenses if it's determined they are farming in compliance with the GAMPs, and we didn't have the right to enforce it.
right.
And there
Can you
is no-
change the verbiage to be not chickens and say hens? Like,
Well, and that's what
backyard
Bay City
hens
has,
versus-
yeah, just,
Sexist.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what Bay City
don't
has. It
call
says
them chickens?
keeping of female chickens hens. So that's what Bay City has right now,
Okay.
so. I don't, the one section in here, I don't think that if we were to move forward this, I don't think that and I don't want to speak on behalf of the clerk, but I don't think we want to have permits like the city of Bay City.
I think we need 'em.
Okay.
My concern is, what are you gonna do with the manure?
Your garden.
If you don't have a garden.
Same thing I think the same thing that you would do if you had dogs, you know. I mean,
There are supposed to be, towards the Department of Ag, generally accepted agricultural management practices, they have a manure management camp. And so if you're a 15-hen chicken livestock facility, you have to run the same manure management you do for a 250 cow dairy farm.
And who's gonna
who's
enforce
enforcing
this?
that? That's my,
That's up to the Department of Ag. And as a matter of fact, the one in Frankenlist right now, I've requested an inspector to come out and see if it's a big enough lot to have any chickens. And what they've done in the past is they have allowed 5 acres with all kinds of chickens and ducks, thinking that this backyard stuff is good, but there's really no guidance or law. It's just up to whoever the inspector is.
oh, go ahead, Jim.
Just this communications we received about the bill for the chickens, and then there was a home-based art. Is that just in session right now, or is that something that's been passed?
No, it has not been passed yet. I think they introduced it, but they sent it to the department. I think it says in there they sent it to or I'm sorry, maybe none of that one, but I think they sent it to the Department of Agriculture for reference or something.
All right, so if this does pass, does that delete our ordinance?
It would supersede
Yeah.
us, yes.
Just like the wind solar.
Because they have,
Battery.
there's one of the things that, you can have like 5 chickens on quarter acre. Now, is that a quarter acre with a house and structures already on it?
That'd be your quarter acre subdivision lot.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. And I would say they're probably not, if they do pass that, like other things that they've passed recently, they're not going to put a whole lot of thought into it. They're just going to say, well, that sounds great,
Yeah.
So,
They're going because the price of eggs are gone.
I'll
Right.
guarantee you there's more chickens in our township right now than you realize.
oh, there's a lot,
Oh, I'm
and
not telling
that's the thing. There is a lot of them, and I'm not I mean, we talked about it before. We're not actively out looking for, we've had a couple complaints and we've took at them, yeah. So,
She's got a doctor's thing that says she's a naturalist, can't eat processed foods. I seen that, because I went out there to see what that problem was. And,
They're zoned ag.
the doctor signed his name on it, she can't eat processed foods.
yep. Okay, moving forward, what's everybody else's thoughts here? So,
I would just, obviously you want it sort of hidden, whether we use fences or whatever, our stipulations, but my biggest thing would be odor. If somebody moved in next to me and I can smell it, I'm going to be here. And, yes, and so if, we would need to have something in there, if there is a complaint about an odor and it's not addressed, your chickens are gone.
If you have, I have 10 laying hens. From me to you away, you wouldn't even know they're there.
And that's great, but you have some
It's meat
people that are,
birds that are the ones that smell.
the what?
Meat birds,
Okay.
not laying hens. As long as, yeah.
Well, basically, don't we have to wait until we find out if the state passes the law? Because if we change our ordinance now, we're just wasting our time again?
well, we're not gonna change the ordinance. What I thought was, is maybe we could do a moratorium or something of that nature.
They tried that on the windmills in Tuscola County, and the moratorium has been said to not have any enforcement of power or sanction behind it. If you want to change your law, you change the ordinance. So they let all the windmills go in Tuscola County in federal court. So moratoriums just are, if you really want to change your ordinance, but we've already got in a residential zone, no farm animals, no domestic animals, goats, horses, pigs, fowl, etc. In an agricultural zone, you can do whatever you want to do. And you do a new livestock sighting camp, and they come out and they drive the property, and depending on how many driveways for residential houses within a quarter or half mile, that determines Department of Ag's yes or no.
So, what would be the best step? And I get what you just said. Obviously, we do have agriculture here, but the issue that I have, it's just like the guy that was talking about earlier, Chris Phillick. He had contacted me. He lives over by Earl Arnold on Salzburg. He lives on 2.5 acres. They used to have chickens there. He can't have them now because he's not ag. 2, he doesn't have the 5 acres. And the other people that have smaller lots and are not in ag,
15 years ago, I had the enforcement official from the Department of Ag come up to a Bay County Township Officers Association meeting, and you might want to benefit from having somebody from the Department of Ag come up and say what you can and can't do. Because the next time I called Mr. Whitman, he told me he'd been instructed not to talk to attorneys anymore. I had to talk to the Attorney General. I know Dave can call the Department of Ag and get an answer. I know Joe on the east side can do it. And Mr. Miller, Patrick Miller, and Frankenlist and Williams can do it. So if you can get somebody that'll answer your question at the Department of Ag, I'll step aside, but otherwise you take the risk of getting hammered with somebody's attorney fees and sanctions.
I just can't believe that we can't figure out how to do this when the city of Bay City, city of Grand Rapids, all these other townships can figure it out. I mean,
There was a Michigan State Extension model ordinance, and the Department of Ag never said they were going to live with it and abide by it. That's why this township and many others have not, because you can follow this same ordinance, limit the number on a per acre basis. But if the Department of Ag says, no, you've allowed the agricultural area in that zone, then you've given everything up. Not only chickens, but every agricultural use can go in. So I'm done. I mean, you do what you need to do, but it'd be nice if you could have the Department of Ag tell you what they're gonna enforce and not enforce.
I can tell you what they don't do. Anything they're supposed to.
Okay.
So the moratorium isn't worth the paper it's wrote on. You're rich.
Per Judge Leddington.
There you go. So how do we?
Well, the only, we got a couple different options. We could wait for the state. I don't know if that's gonna pass or not. And, you know, some things, unless it's a wind turbine thing, nothing goes 30 days in the House and the state. So, I mean, we could wait for that. And the reason I wanted to bring it up now, obviously, we've had a lot of people that have contacted us about it. But it's getting that time of year pretty soon. So, we could wait, and see what happens with the state. We could, change our ordinance, if we choose to do that, or we can do nothing. So,
Or you might get someone who says, they're my pets.
Oh, you get that all the time.
yeah.
Everybody's got a pet.
Yeah.
They're my emotional support animal.
Yeah.
I think we need to do something though on, everybody does have the right to farm. Just because you're in a zoned residential area where a bunch of 1 acre lots and you're out in the middle of nowhere, you should be able to do it. It's not the same as being on Canterbury or Fairway.
How many you
or-
want
Yeah.
to give them? I don't have any problem with that. How many you
Up
want to
to-
give them? And I think I'd like to have a stipulation in there, and I agree with the treasurer. If they call and complain, and I appreciate what you said, they need to go.
Right,
I think the,
If there's no roosters, fine, that works for me too. 'Cause
right.
yeah.
I've heard them, I don't want a part of that.
I like the quarter acre rule. I mean, at least that's something.
It's a
But-
start.
But I'll give you another example. And we did have a complaint from a lady that lived up on Ott Road. She has 1 acre. She's not ag. But she does have a very large farm field on the east of her and a very large farm on the west of her. And the neighbor that's down the road didn't like her, so he called and complained that she had chickens, and it's just ridiculous, you know. All you gotta do is have somebody that doesn't like you, and then they're calling about it. So,
Well, you could speculate a 300-foot rule or whatever. If the neighbor is over 300 feet away, they don't have a case. I mean, as far as a chicken, okay, it's 300 feet away. If it's a direct neighbor, well then, okay, then you gotta investigate.
If you're sitting on an acre lot, if we limit them at 10 birds, you should never have an issue.
I don't have a problem with that, especially he owns them, he's a farmer. He knows what the smell is, so
Like I said, you can
I'll
walk
go
with
along
it.
with that
You
if that's
never
what you
know
want to
there.
do.
right.
I'm not in favor of changing ordinance, though. I think I'm gonna try and live with a moratorium until we stop killing 22 million chickens.
Yeah. Well, and I think at the end of the day, it's more that people, let's be real, people are since COVID, and we realize the system that we lived on can break down like that. People want to be more self-reliant. I get that 100%.
We're in a day
so,
and age, everybody wants
yeah.
organic too.
Yeah, yeah. Want to know where your stuff's coming from. So, yeah. Okay. So,
I'm with Paul on 1 acre, 10 birds max.
I'd be in favor of that.
quarter acre. Is that what we said? What did you say?
Well, he said at 1 acre, 10 birds max, but I mean, I like to start with a quarter acre because that's what it started off in here.
Yeah. Well, that's what Bay City has.
Seven.
Is they can have up to 3, I think.
So up to 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we say 3 birds per quarter acre? So our limit would be 9 instead of 10?
I'm good with that.
So we're not splitting hairs as far as,
Even if they have 5 acres, it's still just gonna be 9 or whatever chickens?
would it be 9 per acre?
No, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
Quarter acre.
but you gotta put a
Oh,
limit
quarter,
on it.
sorry. Sorry, oh, I'm sorry. I just got off vacation.
The state, the state one, I believe the
I'm the
state.
treasurer, math.
I think the state had on there, 3 per quarter acre with a maximum of 25
I love it.
is what they had. So that's what I think.
Doing thirds.
I think that's what they had in
I
the
love
For
state.
not, for non
proposed.
For non-production.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, for non-production, so,
Max of 25.
Mr. Supervisor,
yes.
Mr. Beller brought up a good point. This lady has got a written doctor's slip that says she can't eat processed meat. Does that give her the right then to violate our ordinance by having all those animals?
I'm not going after that, so. Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
because, you know, you don't have to be able to grow your own, you can buy it.
Right.
But that's
That's
what I'm
ag
getting
out
at.
there.
Where, too many variables.
Yeah.
Let's
That-
draw a line.
But isn't that zoned ag out there?
I don't recall off the top of my head, but, okay, so, so let's do this. We have this paper, we've got some things we've talked about. If we could table it until the next board meeting, we'll try to write some of the things down a little bit more defined. Then we'll
So
go
we
from
looking for a
there.
motion to table?
Yes.
I'll do it.
Sport?
Okay, motion, support, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carried.
Can-
Okay,
Can I put in 2 more seconds on that?
yes,
In the last 4 weeks, and I have talked months ago, that there's a chat room called the Michigan Township Association Chat Room.
yep,
Last 4 weeks have been, what's a farm, what's right to farm, what animals do you allow, what size, et cetera. Can I forward that to Taylor and have her disseminate it to all of you in your emails? Won't cost you anything, it comes to me. And then I can just have Taylor keep you and the planning commission up to snuff on what's happening in other communities.
Yep.
Beautiful.
that'll be wonderful. Thank you.
I get those emails, but I can't get into them.
You gotta log in.
Yeah, I requested a password and everything and nothing.
Oh.
You get them from me?
No.
Just
from-
get-
From
The
them.
MTA.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I'll
Yeah.
contact them for you.
I can't, I don't know how to forward them. I have to have somebody in the office forward them, so.
You'd be
I can't help
surprised
but
the
get
stuff
into
they
'em.
put on there. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, I've been trying to get in.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information on there, so, okay, yeah, go ahead and do that, Rich. Did you have something else, too, is that?
No, it's just
okay.
coincidental that you're talking about it tonight.
I've seen, yeah,
Multiple
it's
communities in the
same
state.
discussions happen all over the state of Michigan.
Right.
So a lot of places that are really talking about it now. So, okay, next up, discussion of the meeting hours. Put this on here from the last month. Anybody?
Personally, I like to, I mean, it should be a discussion, but I think it should be a full board. I think we're missing Mr. Arnold, because this will affect our residents, ourselves. So I don't know if we want to wait, table it until,
I don't. But
all right?
One of the drawbacks of not being here.
Yep.
it's true. We should find a committee to appoint him to. We'll teach him.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
No, I get it. No, I'm just kidding, Jim. But I mean, my opinion is I mean, we said we'd have it on here to discuss, and we will discuss it. When I became supervisor in 2020, we had the meetings at 7 p.m. This is a large crowd compared to what the meetings were. We usually had the same 4 or 5 people that show up every time. A lot of them are ex-board members, people who are on other boards, and if there's somebody that has something more particular that's on the agenda, maybe they show up. There's been no change in our numbers since we went to 5. The county has their meetings at 4. The city has theirs at 6. Other places do other things. I mean, you're never going to have a meeting that's going to be perfect for everybody. I don't think that's going to change a lot, so that's just my opinion. So,
We only found out about the meetings that somebody put a copy of that on our door over the weekend. It been for that nice Samaritan,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have known this was even going on tonight.
They are posted online. They're posted on the boards. This is a special meeting, but all the regular meetings are sent out in the newsletter as well. We rarely change them, so they're usually the same time. This was a special meeting. We had it announced at the last board meeting, but it was posted. Somebody said it wasn't on the sign. I thought it was on the sign, but maybe it wasn't. But anyway, so that's my thoughts.
Zoning's at 6. I think planning commission's at 6:30.
Six.
ZBA's at 6:30.
Okay, ZBA 6:30, planning's at, so why couldn't ours be at 6?
I know when I ran for office, a lot of people, that was their concern. I get out of work at 5 o'clock, I can't make a 5 o'clock meeting, which made sense.
I have a question. When everybody on this board ran for re-election, wasn't it 5 o'clock?
It was.
So everybody sitting there knew it was gonna be 5 o'clock.
Yeah, we know, we're talking about the residents, not us.
They're not gonna be more gonna be here at 7 o'clock than there is at.
Especially when the last 3 meetings have gone until over 2 hours. So now we're here till 9:30 at night. I'm not thrilled with that. I have a mother in a nursing home that the only time I get to see her, and that's my problem, but I never knew board meetings went 2.5 hours. Which, that's what I signed up for.
They don't.
I'm learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I signed up for it, but
Yeah.
now
It's
knowing.
gonna change too, come planning season, you probably will miss meetings. You'll probably miss them, and I know I'll miss them.
Yeah, I would budge to 5:30 if I had a choice. I love 5.
I love 5. I'd like the motion, we keep the meetings at 5 o'clock.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have support?
I would support 5.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Ferguson, yes. Cloa?
Yes.
Beller?
No.
Meyer?
No.
Malin?
Yeah.
Spencer?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, next up, new business. Budget adjustments, or a budget addition adjustments for 2024.
Yeah, just a few more. Sorry. I motion that we approve the budget adjustments I made
Okay,
for the 2024.
we have a motion. Do we have support? We have support. Any discussion?
Was that in our?
Roll call?
Hold on.
Well, Paul
has
was
a
looking,
question.
Paul was looking for something.
Yeah. Did we have them in here?
Yes, they are on the,
Yep.
they're this way. They're on the top of a page, at the very end, after the Cluck Cluck article, on the back of the Cluck Cluck page.
Okay.
There, I can just read it to you. There was a special assessment for sewer, it's on the wrong line item. We actually addressed the right line item last week, and I went to post it, and I realized that was on the wrong line. There's a special for the pond funds. There was that $2,500 tree that pond fund owes back to general fund when we do the renewal of the CDs, so that had to be addressed. And then there was just a few small adjustments in some bills that came in late, and mainly it was a $400 bill from the fire department for a convention that he just got the bill recently, and then some small adjustments in supplies and miscellaneous.
Okay.
No big deals, just things I want to have covered before the audit.
Yep, okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Cloa?
Yes.
Beller?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Malin?
Yes.
Spencer?
Yes.
And Ferguson, yes, thank you.
Okay, next up, approval of Wylander Fitzhugh audit agreement. Do you have a motion?
I have a question.
Yep.
How did the audit turn out? I
We
mean,
haven't had it yet. This is, we're signing the agreement
There you
to,
go.
we're signing the agreement to have the audit for 2024. And there's a bottom, in the back of it, it gives us a budget number, what they say they won't go over in the cost of the audit, and I think it was $22,500. And I just wanted permission to sign the audit papers before we go into
Well,
audit.
how much it cost us last year?
A little less than that,
It was less than that?
just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah, like it's maybe
yeah.
22,000, I mean.
And this is the company that audits us every year?
Yep.
Yes, because they do the Department of Water and Sewer, and the audits nowadays get integrated with all of the capital, so the roads, the water, the sewer, and so they can pull all that together into our books that go to the state. It's a big
Okay.
deal.
I guess I'll make a motion that we obtain this firm to do our 2024 audit.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have support?
I'll support.
We have support. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Beller.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Malin.
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes.
Ferguson. Yes. Cloa.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Okay, any discussion?
Bye.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.